Okay, here we go. We going? Let me double check this here real fast. Yeah, it looks like we're going. All right, so we are live for the final card reveal for the Omega Arc, which is supposed to come out today, but you know how Upper Deck does their release dates. We'll see. Oh, better check my audio. Yep, audio seems good. All right, so we're live here for the final reveal for the Omega level arc. I think this is just going to be one card, but we'll see here in a second. This is the Omega's card preview, American Legion. Sometimes they're too clever. Are they too clever? I don't know. So this first bit here is saying, just refreshing, that Franklin Richards arrived in the original Omega level, or in the Fantastic Battles, and that he was one of these, but kind of just recap. Previously on Versus System previews, Omega level mutants, you only get one. They're neither good nor evil. Today we look at the last Omega, or should we say 18. So I can already see that there's some stuff going on down here, but let's look at the card first. Stats are bad. 112 is not good for an 8-drop, but do I need to pause this? Okay. So he's OLM, spontaneous mutation. When you recruit Legion and at the start of your build phase, a random personality takes him over. Okay. So what does that mean? Oh, that's the flight symbol. Okay, so he is just one card. Now, is he one of a kind? No, he's not one of a kind. So I guess we're going to get 4 copies of this, but what does the personality keyword do? We hoped you liked this final look at the... what's that? You don't know what a personality is? Yes, of course we don't know what a personality is. Oh, yes, you must be boring at parties. Haha, you're so funny. I do kind of like the way these reveal articles have, like, a chattiness to them, as if there's a conversation occurring between us and the author. Neato, rad. So the personality mechanic is pretty cool, neato, and rad. Thanks. Super awesome. When a personality takes over Legion, the following occurs. He loses name, stats, powers, and all previous personalities. He gains AKA... Now, hang on. If he loses powers, then does he lose spontaneous mutation? Because this says at the start of your build phase, so does this only trigger one time? I guess let's read the rest of it. He gains AKA for the listed name of the new personality. Maybe it means he loses powers just to previous personalities, but not from himself. Okay, that would make sense. His base stats change to the listed attack and defense. He gains listed powers. Powers that say once on your turn can't be used during combat. Huh. So are there once on your turn powers that can normally be used during combat? I guess any combat superpower, but this is saying that but if the power doesn't explicitly say it, so does that mean that a power has to have this text? So like Wolverine, for instance, has a power that can only be triggered during combat, I think. Does that mean that you can't use it, or that you can because it doesn't say that, even though all superpowers have that drawback? I don't know. When you recruit Legion and at the start of your build phases, randomly choose an option from a list of 20 options. Do we get to pick the 20 options? You can choose the same personality on consecutive turns. They're happy. Oh, but you want to know what these personalities are. Pretty demanding. Well, although there are hundreds of personalities in David Haller's mind, Upper Deck told us we couldn't use that much paper. So we picked 18 of our favorite. Wait, but you just said 20, didn't they? Randomly choose from a list of 20 options. Yeah, that says a list of 20 options, but then they said 18. What did... Okay, well, gonna have to get that checked. All right. Personality. So here's a sample. Maybe they're saying that 18. Nope. So they're not even giving us 18 here. They're just giving us a small sample of the available personalities, but they're not... So are these going to be cards in the deck? That there's going to be a personality deck? Or is this going to be like roll a d20? I don't know. Okay, so number 1 is David Haller, so he loses 1 attack. if he becomes that guy. That's extremely bad. Personality 2 is Jamail Karama. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. He becomes a 10-10, and enemy players can't draw cards. Now, that happens at the start of your build phase. So if you get through a turn, that's making your opponent not draw cards is definitely good. Sally is a 19-2 that can't be struck. Time Sink. He becomes a 5-5, and at the end of your turn, you take another turn. That's really good. Centaur, a 10-10 with Kick. When an enemy character enters melee combat, put 2 -1 counters on it. So I wonder if this is going to be sort of a dumping ground of a bunch of different mechanics and keywords that we haven't seen before, but they can kind of test it out on this card without actually printing it anywhere. And if one of these ends up being problematic, they can just errata it pretty easily or just not ever print it. Okay, so question number 1, this says 20 options. And down here, this says 18. So the first question is, how many different personalities are there? 18 or 20. The second question is, how many of them are bad? Clearly, David Haller, the number 1 personality, is bad. And these numbers don't make any sense. Number 898. Number question. Now, they do say there's hundreds of personalities in his mind. So potentially these numbers aren't connected to the number of potential personalities that are actually in the game, and they're connected more to the flavor of the comic that he has. There's probably some comic with this character where he's counting off these different personalities. This is personality 898, and probably these are all connected. Knowing Super Awesome Games, I feel confident saying that they aren't making up personalities that haven't been used in the comics, but even if they do, I'm fine with that. I have no problem. I have no loyalty to comic accurate Legion. So is this guy any good? On turn 8, so this triggers at the start of your build phase, which means you recruit him and he's just a straight up 1/1 until next turn. So if he gets lethaled or if he gets blanked before next turn, you paid 8 recruit points for absolutely nothing. That's bad. That could be extremely bad. On my turn 8, I play Legion, and the next turn you play Dark Phoenix and call keywords. Cool, good game. I just wasted an entire turn. This is... Maybe if this triggered at the start of the main phase, I might not be quite so harsh on the card, but you gotta play... At least he has 2 health, so even if he gets stunned the turn you play him, you're going to get a chance to get him to go off, provided your opponent doesn't have some sort of counterplay that prevents it. And how do we do any analysis on this card without seeing the full list of either 18 or 20 options? What's the guidance for how we ensure that these are randomly chosen? I mean, I guess the easy option would be each personality is assigned a number. You have a D20. You roll the D20 to figure out what the personality you get for that turn is. But again, you don't get it the turn you play him. I don't know if this guy's going to see much play. But potentially there's some gem hidden in the list of personalities that isn't listed here. I mean, these are all good with the exception of the first one. The first one is like a lose the game critical miss. So you roll your D20 and your 8 drop loses 1 attack. Cool. The rest of these all seem pretty decent. A 20/20 with flight, okay. This kick thing seems pretty good. You get to chop somebody down. And 10/10. Now is 10/10 good enough on turn 9? Let's be real. This guy, you can't play him until turn 8, but the personality doesn't kick in until turn 9. Is a 10/10 that has a keyword power worth it? Like, don't I just want to play Dark Phoenix and wipe keywords out of the game entirely? I was really hoping this box was going to give us clear, obvious ways to shut down Dark Phoenix, and I don't think we've gotten that at all. I think what we've actually gotten is a bunch of other stuff that is also cool, but are you going to be running Sentinels and running Mutant Control Act just to make sure Dark Phoenix doesn't ruin all of your cool new toys? Is ramp the only viable strategy where you ramp up to these cool new toys to hopefully get to use them prior to Dark Phoenix going off? I was really hoping for something that just punished the opponent. So it wasn't just that it stopped the opponent from playing Dark Phoenix, it's that it punishes an opponent for whom that is their game plan. And really the only card we've gotten that I think comes close to that is Kid Omega, but I don't think Kid Omega goes far enough because his stats were so poor. So the effect is rather fragile, and once the effect is broken, well, then down comes Dark Phoenix. This guy does not do anything at all to assuage my concerns that we still kind of have the same power imbalance rot at the top of the curve. Galactus helped. Honestly, I think Galactus being a 30-30 was a better foil to Dark Phoenix, because in a way, if somebody plays Dark Phoenix and calls keywords, I can now play my Galactus without having to worry about another Herald of Galactus being in play, and the Phoenix player is almost punished by making my big anti-Phoenix play easier to get to. Now, I don't really think that anything I've seen in the Omega box has that same kind of punish built into it. But again, there's a lot more personalities here. Maybe one of them is so overpowered that you're going to play this guy despite the obvious clear risks. I was hoping they saved the best for last, but I do not think that is what happened here. I do not think this is the best card out of this box. So none of these personalities really super jump out as like, wow, that's going to be game deciding. And isn't that what you want from these big top drop expensive cards? Gosh, I don't know, guys. Not super impressed with this Legion. All right. Well, that's the end of the Omega box. This should be available for purchase today, but we'll see. This is the final look at Omegas. Legion has many more surprises for you to discover. We can't wait to see what you cook up with all these characters. Join us next time for more previews. Omegas hits stores today. So nothing about the November release, which I honestly was more excited about than this card. I was really hoping they were going to tell us what they're going to be. Even if there wasn't a spoiler, I was hoping they were going to give us the IP that's coming out in November. At this point, it's a little bit hard to be optimistic. Now, I have talked to Mark, and he assures me that there's a November release coming and that they just can't reveal what it is at this point. But, stores haven't got solicitations for it yet. We already know that even when they solicit stuff months in advance, this set doesn't always come out on time. And COVID. So, I don't know what's going to happen with that. As far as this last card, I think this will maybe be fun at a kitchen table game, but if I'm going to for serious tournament, I do not want to leave the outcome of my top of my curve late game threat to a D20. I'm just not interested in doing that at a tournament table. So maybe there's some personalities in the sheet that will, the rule sheet that comes with this expansion that will change my mind, but I'm highly skeptical that Legion is going to see any kind of serious play. Although, again, kitchen table, this guy sounds wild. This sounds like a lot of fun. I rolled a 1, no, critical miss. Okay, I'm with that. But as far as affecting tournament play, I don't think this guy's going to show up. Again, caveat, I don't know what the other, they give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I don't know what the other 12 to 14 options are, depending upon which of these numbers is correct, the 20 or the 18. So I guess that's all I got. Till next time, guys, go win some games.